For our latest film, Return to Earth, one of the stories we wanted to tell was the creativity of Brett Reeder in the landscapes of the Utah desert. We were there to capture this inspiration on film. Along for the ride was one of our long-standing collaborators and friend, photographer Sterling Lorence. But it wasn't Anthill that gave Sterl his big break. He earned that all on his own, while helping pioneer the mountain bike scene on Vancouver's North Shore Mountains.
My name's Sterling Lorence, and I'm a photographer from Vancouver, BC. I might have been 13 or 14. That sense of adventure, like getting away from the house, all of a sudden, boom, we were up on Cypress and we were going all over the place, mountain biking. It was a new sense of freedom. And I became that kid amongst my friends that wanted to capture those moments. The adventure of being on a ride or snowboarding with my friends and seeing the places that our boards and our bikes took us, I just found it all so breathtaking.
We didn't have a scene going on. It wasn't like, oh, meet this guy, he's a photographer. It was kind of, we were all starting together. So it wasn't like Sterl came in as like an established photographer in the mountain bike industry. He's like, we were all starting. We were like the ingredients of a good meal. A little bit of rider, a little bit of location, a little bit of photographer, you know?
The North Shore scene was attracting international attention for its burly trails and the dark and ominous image, much of it documented by Sterl and his buddies. But none of these freeriders realized what kind of influence their work would have on the global mountain bike culture.
I think there was a point in the North Shore where the sort of secret wasn't there anymore, where the trails weren't secret, the stunts weren't secret. All of a sudden it was getting a little more mainstream. It was kind of like the beginning of freeriding, where we weren't just riding down the mountain. It was where jumping and more hardcore flow was happening down the mountain. It was sort of at that point where the riders were demanding more out of their bikes. And I think it's when the bike manufacturers started to really realize that British Columbia was pushing the envelope of what the bikes needed.
Having put Vancouver's North Shore trails on the map, Sterl was ready to apply his developing craft to new challenges.
We've been working with Sterling for about 20 years now, and I think that's a really strong testament to how similar our vision is for how the sport should be documented. We've been on countless shoots together all over the world, and we continue to work together because he's just an extension of our crew, and we're very parallel in how we want the sport to be documented and how we see it from a cultural perspective and just from an overall visual standpoint.
Back at the Return to Earth shoot in Utah, we here at Anthill were ready to see what Sterl had up his sleeve for what might end up being the most powerful image of the entire film project.
On a trip like that, there's a nervous tension to me as the days go by. Like, I got one of the world's best slopestyle riders in Utah. What if I find something that's a signature shot? What's that gonna be? If the sun's still out, I gotta wait those 15 minutes. On one of the nights that they weren't filming, I would get my chance to have some time with Brett hitting this rock quarter pipe and use the strobe on the drone to try and make an image.
Sterling has set the bar for maybe every photographer, you know, since I've been around.
Good with you, Sterling.
When the sky turned the perfect color for the flash, it all unfolds really quickly. We needed the right athlete, the right feature, and all the lead-up work. It takes a team like that to pull off a shot like this, and it is special to have a team like that come together to pull off a neat moment like this.
Filmmaking and still photography are a hugely important part of mountain bike culture. Part of that is because mountain biking takes place up in the mountains, in the desert, or in the forest. And still photography and filmmaking are really the best way to take what's going on out in the middle of nowhere and bring it to the public.